Well, it's that time of year again. As spring has sprung, we're basically flying almost every day already. And we've had, and I guess you've seen on the previous tape, some flights on a Testarossa, some basic flights. Now we're going to look to push the envelope just a little further. Boy, the birds are chirping this morning. I don't know what they is. I think they just like the Testarossa. Anyway, we were hoping for a lot nicer of a weekend, but what they've predicted is, as you can imagine, not the best. And we're just going to try to make the most of it. And what we've been doing is bringing both planes to the field, hopefully so we can swap parts, props, whatever, as we try to develop this, as we try to get a bunch of stuff ready for our Texas trip. And we try to put, for instance, Richard's prop has been on a Spitfire several times, back on the Testarossa, back on a Spitfire. Because of the drag, the different drag, the Spitfire is a little bit lighter, a couple ounces lighter, and a much thinner, smaller wing, thinner, smaller body. So what we found, and it just goes true to form, is the props for the Testarossa are typically going to need a little bit more pitch. We've made up a dedicated two-blade gauge just for the Testarossa, and we've marked the props. In fact, what we've done is, with the box, I've separated the box into two bags of props, the high pitch, low RPM set, and then pretty much the same props with lower pitch, higher RPM, and got them in separate bags. And we've got a couple of new ones. We got a couple of new APC that we want to test too. But the main thing is we need weather. We had that one or two nice days, and then realistically, it faded. So, but we know we're going to be able to get some flights in Texas. We hope, anyway. And so far, the trim on this has been just about as predictable as you could imagine. We're still testing Richard's tank. The next test after this will be Joe Adamusco's tank, and then after that will be the carbon fiber tank. So we should have a lot of, hopefully, a lot of good information in our database by the time we get down to see Richard, and it's coming faster than you think. Well, they predicted a nice breezy day today, so we'll see what we have. Boy, this time of year, I say it over and over again, downtown Rutherford, such a nice place. Look at nice the azaleas, the wisteria. All the leaves are on the trees. The tree-lined streets of Rutherford. Now today is just wow, jet's going over. Today is a really ideal day to do some tuning. For one reason, we're trying to tune props. I have a whole bag that these are low pitch, high RPM props. Pretty much similar or the same props, high pitch, low RPM. Now what I'm going to do today, I already took a test flight, get an idea of what the air conditions are, and the air it's cold obviously. So this is not the real valid part of the day, but I also have a pen, and what I do is each prop that I put on here, I'm going to mark whether I want to add some pitch or take some pitch out. Now I just flew this prop. This was the square one prop for today. One of Doran's props. This is a little low on pitch. So what I'm going to do, just right on here, when I get back, put this aside. I have two other props I'm going to be adjusting, so I've got three already that I want to change. Now what I wanted to do is go to one of the props that I had already changed the pitch on last night. I added a little pitch to this prop. This is a relatively higher pitch, and because we want to use it on a Testarossa, see what this allows me to do is do a lot of prop testing and a lot of fooling around.
in what's going to be, I hope, a good day. We'll find out. This time of year, there are no good days. There are uneventful days. Anyway, but all of the props that are making the ship go too fast, I can take a little bit of pitch out. In other words, it's only fine-tuned now. Any of the ones, the wind is already starting to really get nasty. What it allows me to do is take the ones that have too much pitch and just take a little bit out, and the ones that don't have enough, put a little in. So in other words, instead of having, let's say it's on a scale of 1 to 10, I have 10s and 1s and 10s and 1s, I'll have 8s and 3s or 6s and 4s, just to make an example of it. And because of a day like today, where it starts out cold and it's chilly out here, what's going to happen later in the day, it's going to really get warm. And in this case, it won't even matter, because it's just a prop testing day. Now usually you can tell when nobody else is at the field, you know the air is crappy and there's nobody here. Pretty much if the air was any better, we'd have company. Now the trick will be is get some flights when we get these close to where we want. Put the other camera on. Now, for the last few days, we've been testing different material for grip material, back and forth, and it looks like there are 2 or 3 of these tennis wrapping materials that have worked pretty well. The Wilson seems like there's a little bit better than all the others. Maybe, maybe not. We still have some more to test. But what's happening? The weather is changing. It's warming up, as you can expect. So now we picked the best prop that we've had so far today, and it's the one that's on the plane now. And what I want to do now is go over, take it off the plane, look at the gauge, and see where I am relative to my gauge. Remember, I'm really building a database for 2 sets of props. The low pitch, high RPM props that really use kind of a tune pipe, high RPM, 9 to 10,000 RPM range, maybe even a little more. And the ones that Richard's working, and I'm trying to work also, that have a higher pitch and run at a lower RPM and a much longer pipe setting. So we're really working on 2 parallel projects at the same time. And what it allows me to do is, once I find something that I think really works well, like right now, I've changed the pitch on this prop several times. Now what I can do is, I can take the gauge out. I've got this gauge made, and we've shown many times how to make the gauge, and maybe make a slight adjustment to it based on the factors that we have, the weather, the drag and weight of the plane. But you can see on our low pitch gauge, because we've done this a lot of times, we've changed the pitch 4 or 5 different times to what we think is the closest ideal setting. And that allows us, what it allows us to do is, say for instance, when we get a totally new prop, we get one right out of the box, we can get it pitched to what we think is the optimum pitch before we even have to spend a day like today at the field testing it, burn up some gallons of fuel. And I've marked all the ones that I've pitched with a little more pitch, the extra pitch. I've marked them with the words Testarossa, because we're going to be trying to run a lower pitch setup in the Testarossa. So we have a lot of choices here, and what's fun is, now I'll pull that prop off. That's the winner of today's little fly off so far, and just see where it is relative to the gauge. Now you might think, and probably you're right, this is boring. Well, it's boring to some people, I agree. The thing is, this is the part of our sport that I really enjoy, the tuning. Because there's never a time when you can just buy a prop, put it on a plane, and it's absolutely perfect. It'll be good, but it'll be good under some conditions, not good under other conditions. And in fact, today it's going to warm up. We won't even be wearing our long sleeve shirt later today. So let's see where this prop, which we thought was really good. Now if I put it on the gauge, let me just show this. This is kind of neat. What this does, and let me just see. See if we get the sun at the right spot. If you see the blade, it's exactly where our gauge is. So what this is going to allow me to do is pitch other props. I have a big Brian Ether prop. I have Richards props. I can pitch one of them to this pitch setting, and then I can compare props with absolutely equal pitch. Just as an example, this is one of the two blades that's working real well too, and you can see the pitch is almost exactly the same. Now I'm only ever concerned with the last inch of pitch, and this is the way I do it, not the way other people do it. Other people have different ways, but this way seems to work for me, and it allows me to get that final. It'd be like adjusting the rear end gearing in a dragster. It allows me to fine tune right down to the last minute. And then whichever one is the winner, I got the gauge for that, and I can pitch the other props in a very similar way. And as I make notations on each one, when I get back to the shop, even if I have to make a third gauge or a fourth gauge, but having enough prop, first off, you need bags of props to do this kind of stuff. One prop, or if you do it the way Brian does, he heats it with the tailpipe of the car. I'm not crazy about doing that. I like to do it under shop conditions. But what it's allowing me to do is really get a whole variety of props very close in setting, load, and I can make little notations on them, which ones work in the wind, which ones don't work at all, which ones work, for instance, on a Spitfire, which typically needs a little bit lower pitch, smaller diameter, and the ones that are on the Testarossa, a little more pitch, a little more diameter. And plus, to me, this is one of the challenging things that I like doing, and that I like sharing also. Now, it's always one of the other things that I enjoy, taking props that I've already had on the plane during really hot weather and gotten them dialed in, and on a day like today when it's cold, they usually wind up having too much pitch. So what'll happen is, you also would like to have at some point in time not only the best prop for your ship, your conditions, whenever it comes to breeze again. The other nice thing would be to have that prop with a little more pitch for warm weather, that same prop that turns out to be the winning prop with a little bit lower pitch for cooler weather. Now these are some old Brian Ether props that I had that were working really well last year in what amounted to be the summer months, the real hot weather. I know before I even take this flight it's going to have too much pitch, but I want to see my hell out of it. And I can make the adjustments back at the shop without a real problem. And I should wind up getting all my stuff tuned in if this day works out as successful as I like. And then I can start, the props will already be tuned a little bit and ready for the Testarossa. Well, and out of the pack of 4 blades, actually the one that worked the best was the one that Doran sent up here. So, well, we got something learned, something in the database here today.
Especially at 25-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, crappy air. Put the lights on. Let's see what you're doing.
The light is blowing out there now.
Okay, you started sanding this wing down? Is that what happened? Let's see if we can get a close-up of... Yeah, you got a lot of sanding to do here, boy.
See all the dimples?
Yeah.
Over here, I almost got
Now,
it.
if you sanded it more between coats, you'd have less dimples, of course.
Exactly.
You know, that's the problem always, is like up here, some of these are deep, and you don't want to go down through into the
No.
into the color. It's always better to sand it more early on.
See, that's the thing I didn't do. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but you know, I just put it on. And
See, you've got to, what you got to do is you got to find a spot here. You got to get this sanded a lot more. You're not even close here. This has to be flat.
yeah, just like
before-
it has to be like this, right?
Yeah, flat. No dimples. You're right here, you got it. It's done. Now, if you buff this will buff out.
Yeah.
But over here, you're never going to buff the valleys. So you didn't do enough in between the coats is where you could have done
Right here,
more.
The fuselage, I'd rather...
The bottom.
That's
Yeah.
good. Right?
Yeah, no, there's dimples everywhere. It's got to be flat. You got to do it flat. Where's a little piece of sandpaper? Give me a little piece of sandpaper.
Okay, there's where I sanded. You saw how long it took me to sand it. Now you see you got all the little dimples out here.
Right. It's got to come to this condition.
See all the little.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you can see it. Right. Now you can see.
it. I can see it now.
You can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Now that little spot. Now go get me the some gorums here, and let's see if.
I use this.
Oh, that's no good. Where's the gorums?
I don't use
no
gorums.
gorums.
I use this.
Oh,
Yeah, 3100,
let's see if that buffs it up.
1500.
$5 for gorums, and guaranteed it works.
I
And
got Gorham. It takes too long.
all right, let me see you make this work. Come on. This is ready. If this was gorums, you'd be 30 seconds away from a mirror finish. Now, what is this product? 3M? What is it? Chroma Glaze Cleaner.
That's what they
Okay.
use for body shops. Jimmy
Okay.
gave me this.
I use gorums.
I know. But
Gorums.
yeah, but it takes forever, Jimmy. Jimmy.
Yeah, but my plane's shiny and yours isn't. So who's giving who lessons here?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, am I telling Rich Oliver how to make a motor? You know, come on.
You're right.
Buff away, Rich. Buff away. Teach me something here. That stuff smells like eggs or something. What is... Just do that one spot that I...
Yeah, I can see it. It's coming.
Oh, yeah, well, it's coming slow. Be a lot faster with gorums. Go get some gorums and
I have Gorham.
come on, be a man. Right, for $5 I could buff the whole plane up. Now, what a difference, huh? I mean, anybody could see that.
You're right.
A blind man in Tibet could see that that's going to happen. Even with your cheap compound, that's probably only $30 a gallon or something. Go ahead, wipe it clean.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, there's your lesson in buffing today. So the next time we get to see Strega,
Look at that.
the next time I give you the honor of being on a windy video, Strega will be totally buffed on the way to Texas, right?
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, now isn't that nice?
Yeah.
All right, so.
And I didn't even put any wax on it.
All right, when the lunch check comes for a pizza, get out your wallet.
I always get out my wallet.
Get used to it. No, but that's what you have to do.
Yeah, now it's coming.
Okay, but it'll be faster with gorums, so that stuff you got is. Well, use what you want. It's your money.
I have Gorham. It's just that I tried using it and it takes so long. This is faster. Yeah.
Okay, well, use what you lay. Look.
Yeah. I bought it from you.
Go rub one spot with Gorham, but you're 10 times faster. Man, not up here where you just did that. Man alive. Go right back to that area where you were and then put a little final shine on it. You got any final shine here? You must have. You got the equivalent of it here. What is this?
I got Canuga wax.
800 compound, 3100. Don't wax it. Whatever you do, don't wax it till this paint dries out. The thing will be, it'll never dry out. It'll take forever. You don't want to wax the plane until you bench run it. Till you run it on the ground.
Yeah,
Ideally,
I see it now.
you got it?
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
Oh, now it's coming. Look.
Oh, yeah. Ooh-wee. All right, well, the next time, Richard Oliver told me, if you bring some dumpy-ass plane down to Texas, he's not going to let you fly. You got to have this buffed out to within an inch of its life, my boy. That'll be fine. You got the whole, now you just, it's work. Just
So now what
dedicate
you're
the
saying
time
is-
to it.
All I have to do is just keep sanding
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of putting more clear.
I don't think you need any more clear. You got it. You put 1.5 quarts, right? That's what I have on my plane.
That's
In
what
fact, I got a little less. I actually could have put one more coat of clear on a Testarossa and it would have been fine.
Now it's good.
Okay, so a lesson well learned.
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah, I can see it's beautiful. Okay, well, I'm glad we made this little pit stop here because
And the decals came out pretty good. I only have one little blotch over
Okay.
here.
better than the last time. Last time it was a
awful.
nightmare.
But I'll tell you one thing, working with decals, it's a nightmare.
Well, I found out it's not as easy as you think it is.
No.
There's things you can do with it, but
No, decals, I was very careful when I went ahead and did this with the decals.
Yeah.
You know?
all right, so we're going to go up the club field and help them fix the fence because, well, I'll see if they fixed it. We've had some vandalism at the club field, and unfortunately, today's repair day.
I hate to say it, but that's what it was.
Now, for once, looks like we got here at the right time. They've already got the fence put in, the new fence. That was smart, working on Rich's plane this morning. Not sure how this happened. So the fence is already here. They just gotta, I guess, zap it up or whatever you do. This is the part they wrecked. I'm not sure they even found out Mike Cooper had some extra fence by his house. So we're just gonna have a club rebuild the fence day, I guess. It looks like it's, oh yeah, they got some more fence back here. Look at this. Who says we don't know how the Egyptians built the pyramids? Boy, what a pleasure watching you guys work. Am I glad I didn't get here early? Me! Me! Hey, donkey, what's going on? Boy, have you guys worked this good? I got a job for you down at my rental property. What the hell is that? Let me ask. So what's the resolve here, Mr. Club President? Are we going to get new fencing here or what?
We have to finish off with this temporarily.
Okay.
And we'll buy a 75-foot section. Finish it at the same time.
Okay.
At least
Yeah.
that will be safe.
Now you might be wondering how to bend your next tubing for your gas tank. Why buy one of those tubing benders from Brodak when you got Mike Costello and the lovely tubing bender. Tom Hampshire, the tubing #1. Look at these guys.
Accurate to the millimeter.
I seen some funny stuff, but this is definitely in the top 10 here. You guys are going for the Academy Award here. And it works.
Yeah, okay. Uniflow.
Okay, you know,
Uniflow technology.
back in the days when they had steam engines, everybody knew how to bend pipe.
Right.
Now try to find a guy beside Tom Hampshire that knows how to bend a pipe in a tree.
Try to find a pipe.
All right, so now we all know how to replace a fence, bend tubing, start a steam engine. Oh, Les is here with the coffee. What a good guy. What a guy. Here's a newsworthy item. Scarinzi does some physical work. Holy, Larry, take a bow. We may put him in a Hall of Fame. Look at this. He's actually doing some physical work. That's a first. Larry, how old are you? 72, and he just did his first physical work. 73. Look at this. This is a moment. We ought to put this on the cover of the cover of Stunt News. Look at this. Larry does work.
Half Nobler.
No, we put the push rod on the outside.
Let me see what you did. You put push rod on the outside?
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna, yeah.
That's the way mine is.
Oh,
And Doug Benedetti invented this.
that's a good idea. You can get at it.
Smart.
You
Yeah.
can change the leg.
Yeah,
and you can
sure.
change the
What do you have to
ratio.
do to the bell crank mount?
So what do? You just put a horn on the outside? Is that what you do?
Yeah, a horn here and a horn up here.
Oh, that's a great idea.
The bell crank goes to the flap horn inside here.
Okay.
And then you take the,
Oh, okay.
you leave that like that. Then you put another horn out here. Where's the horn?
Oh, so
And you make up
a
a,
couple of horns.
all right, and you make up a push rod with 2 of those adjusters on each
Yeah.
end.
Well, you only need one, but yeah.
Okay, well, whatever.
Now,
I
is
prefer to
this
put
the
two
stock
on.
push rod setup in here in the kit?
Yeah.
Or did you redo it?
No, you can
No, I
use the stock.
redid it, but I had to cut out the center and it
This is off, right?
Yeah. I'll never buy one with Monaco again. I hate this shit.
I like what Mike did, is buy the arc, put your own finish on, then it's a real aeroplane.
Yeah. That's what I would
It really is a real aeroplane. What am I talking about?
You see the new one they're advertising?
Which one? The score?
This is not my way of building.
No, it was in the last model aviation.
Yeah.
What'd you do with the cowling
What
here,
do they
Pete?
call it?
The score.
I just cut it out
Cut it
What
here.
kind of motor is that?
Quarter inch
OS
flat
35.
barrel.
It's a Randy Smith.
Randy, okay, the Randy
I
thing?
think it's Randy.
Okay.
Golden Clevis. It's,
I gotta
you know,
mount this shit.
it's probably
And what is this?
the
This the bell crank bolt, the way that works?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
The bell crank bolt.
The wing's not that
The
big.
piece fits right over there. I don't know.
600.
The little
just a
hatch
under
like?
670.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a good size
It's
plane.
not
Yeah.
mounted in yet. I just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
670. You could, you know,
For $100
Fancher's airplanes are
gotta
665.
make
For
new landing gear
$120,
because the
even-
company.
Yeah, I hope we're going to have the Stragas very soon. I'm looking forward to having one. Today would have been a great day to have a Strega ARF. Nobody would have to take their plane out of the car. And then when I'm done with it, I could give it to Bob. He likes that idea, right?
Yeah, sure.
So this is your smoothie, the one you're gonna look at this.
Yeah, that's it so far.
Let's help you figure that out.
And then this is the same, but this is different.
This looks like the other OTS ship you have.
Yeah, I said to use the same theme.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Now you left one in with Louis out in VSC.
That's the camouflage Swiss Army plane.
Okay.
And he's got that All-American we put Imran on in your garage in Little Ferry a million years ago.
I know all about that. My lungs still remember that one. Unfortunately, Tom has not been paying his rent. The landlord evicted him. He's going to have to sleep on this mattress in the parking lot. It's a shame when a man his age becomes homeless.
Okay, getting 5 hours
Your
of
smoothie
running
here?
time, and maybe I'm going to get only 2 hours.
Let's see that
That
Addis.
ARF smoothie?
He said you're probably going to have
Monaco
it.
or-
offering to buy me lunch.
Well, I need this on video. You actually going to spend money?
Like this funny light beams.
Yeah, well, that's the same
The
one.
next thing I'll find out is he bought a roll of paper towels at list price.
Well, you were there when we moved
No.
the prop.
Defective. I want to
It's
read
the
the
shock.
With Richard with the 65?
So how's this working out now? Give me the scoop here.
When we were
Getting
there.
there.
When
Getting
we were
there.
moving-
Getting there little by little?
Yeah.
What
Without
I had
compression.
for the first
It
50
doesn't move
flights
freely.
was
Yeah,
All,
something-
all my other engines, you know, you hit the
trim.
prop and it goes
a little soft
very-
on all of the inside rounds. And then I read Buck's piece in Stunt News about move the lead outs forward, brought them forward a 3/16 or so.
Okay.
Got one flight on it on a really rough, puffy day, and it felt a little better, but I got to fly it in decent conditions to know what I've got.
Woo, woo!
Look out.
Uh-oh. Kajeski's back. Don't worry, Mike. We fixed the fence. Nobody will know you pulled it down.
Ooh, ooh.
Ooh.
Look at the tank.
Uniflow goes back to a little tube that's soldered onto the clump.
Okay, good. Yeah, that
So
looks
the
okay.
unit-
Does it work good?
Yeah, it works fine.
You're gonna fly it, right? I'm still wrestling trying to get used to Richard's tank, but
What's Richard
it's coming. Like that, but the tubes are different. I don't know what. I don't want to know. I just want a tank. And because I'm already up at the circle burner field, this is one of my favorite places to visit. I got to buy some supplies for my pond, and they have some beautiful, beautiful stuff here. And it's right near the circle burner field. So Ramo, if you feel like building yourself a pond in Sweden, here you go. This is really an exceptional gardening center. And again, I love coming up here. This is one of the, especially after a day that proved to be, we got some prop testing done and we got the fence fixed. Now we can relax a little. We'll check out our robin when we get home. I'm gonna get one of these for down by my pond. Pretty nice stuff here. This is one of my favorites. One of the ponds they have right in the gardening center. Now I always give Howard Rush a hard time about building a pond. Poor Howard, his wife always tells me, talk him into getting a pond, make a pond. Well, Howard, you're missing a lot of fun. And there's only 1,000 hours of maintenance a year, so. Some nice fish in here this year. Very nice. Get some babies here.
It was nice to even have an indoor pond here. Pretty cool place. So we're gonna get home and work on our pond this afternoon. Karen, she's in her nest.
Really?
She's in her nest. And you can tell we're excited. Karen's making lunch on the deck today, and right at the end of our deck. Hey Chicky, you got a friend up here. Right at the end of our deck, Mrs. Robin. Oh, we can't wait for the babies. We got binoculars. We're checking out the robin with binoculars here. I can't believe this. Peeping Karen.
I can't find it.
You can't, how can you not find it? Look. Go up the branch and then just to the right.
Can't see.
She's right there. What a great way to spend lunchtime. Look at that, a great salami sandwich. Who says this woman doesn't take good care of me? Turkey and salami, robins, and props. What a life. Check out the new engines. I know Gerald Champ will like this.
There's an angel's breath beneath your sigh. There's a little devil.
No, I just wanted to show, this is how the commuter trains run down here, Jer. With the new engines. They run backwards. Well, it's supposed to be the next couple of days. It's supposed to be real nice. I guess I'll believe it when I see it. We're definitely going to see it. Here they got my Corvettes in stock. I asked Karen if she'd let me have the yellow one. She said no. How about the white one? No. How about the black one? No. How about the red one? No. It's like that commercial for something. The answer is always no. Wendy wants a Ducati? No. Wendy wants a Vet? No. Wendy wants a Testarossa? Yes! Hey, look in the mirror. Look at how that paint shines as we're driving down the field. Actually, I hope it's going to be a good day. Now, here we go. You know spring is sprung. Time to go flying, boys. Hey, it looks like we might have a really nice day here. Well, you never know this time of year. Well, we've got a couple of flights already on the 2 blades. We want to work on the 3 blades a little bit today. It's cool, as you can imagine. Good day for prop testing. Air is starting to come up. We've got our square 1 flights in. I'm going through Richard's 2 blades first because they've become the square 1 flights. I want to adjust the pitch up and down, and now we're doing it in very, very tiny amounts, not in big amounts at all. Very, very small amounts. But the results are very predictable, and we're sneaking up on, I hope sneaking up faster than I expect, on having these 2 blades in the bank. And then I want to start working with my Doran 3 blades. I want to have all the setups and all the choices by the time we get down to Texas. Now, after putting in quite a few flights, in this really cool air, these props are going to need a little less pitch. So that's why we obviously have several selections of prop choices. Now this one, what I found out with this one, in cold air, in really cool air like this, where I'm wearing a sweatshirt and everything, just about right. So this is one I want to take the data off and see exactly where this one pitches out. Now, who would have ever thought it would be this good of a day? Nobody even shows up. I don't know where my flying partners are. Good thing I have a stooge. You know what's funny? I never can understand why some people enjoy sleeping so much. When I get ready to go to the flying field, I don't ever think about, oh, Jim, I only can sleep another hour. Anyway, I gotta count pumps. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, developed two different things with these props. We have two-bladed props that are absolutely great in the wind. They absolutely blow me away how good they are. But they have so much GP on, especially on the Spitfire and this plane, that you've almost got to retrim the handle and things every time you go to that full prop. And I'm sure it's part of it is the weight. I made a little chart with what these props weigh the other day, and some of them are almost twice as heavy as the others. So I think once we get this to where we're really comfortable with this, I'm going to come up, we'll look at it. So it's got to warm up yet. It's still pretty cold out here. And once it warms up, we will really be, I hope, going to have a good day here. The fuel still keeps leaking down there. That really aggravates me. Well, nothing I can do about it.
They heard about your Testarossa. Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
By yourself?
Good.
Oh, right. Nice.
Thank you.
What do they weigh about?
This one, how much is
They're
that?
about 4 pounds.
An electric car racer?
So is this the one that's going to go over 100 miles an hour now? How fast does it go? How fast? How fast? Talk is cheap. How fast does it go? 100?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at that header. You see the header he's got on here, John? Wide open, nice and quiet. I hope you got earplugs for me if I got to launch this thing. Holy mackerel, Andy. So anyway, today's winner. Under today's conditions and under today's thing, and we still have to do a little more pitching. We've got this one, I think, as close as we're ever going to get it. And what we're going to do is the other two, we got one we want to take a little pitch out of, and one a lot of the pitch out of to get that back. But every day that we can get here and get some flights, even if it's a crappy day like today, we're still a little better off than if we didn't fly at all. Oh man, here we go again. Raul, a terrorist with his speech.
Go home and get my ringmaster so that I can fly.
Get the Stuka. Oh man.
Raul.
I don't know, Raul. We expect more from our entertainment committee. What the hell is going on here? What is this? What's going on? Raul!
Put a McCoy 29.
These videos cost money. What's going on? I'm wasting film. Well, our prop testing day was pretty positive, and we were real happy about the way it evolved, and now it's turned into a Three Marx Brothers comedy routine with these speed ships. I'm not sure what's going on. Hold up.
Hurry up, get in the air for a run.
Too lean, Raul. It's too lean when it does that.
Watch your head, watch your head.
By the way, for somebody who doesn't know, this can happen to a stunt ship too. When you release a plane and it dies like that, it's telling you the needle valve is too lean. This is too lean.
Open it up a little bit.
Open it just enough. When you let it go and it dies like that, it means it's too lean.
Don't listen to him. Lean it out.
When the hell did you become world champion? What? Just because you got a lot of money doesn't mean you're smart.
I can't believe he cannot get his engine to run.
The way he's got the tank set up on this, it's never going to work. I don't know why he's even fooling with this.
Go home and get a ringmaster. That half-fast that I got, half ship that we built.
What happens when you have a ship that...
That thing is pulling like a bear though when it's running.
Yeah, but it's on the ground, and as soon as you let it go, it changes. What the hell good is that? Man, I thought I had problems. New tank! New tank, Raul.
New flyer.
New pilot.
New pilot.
Buy a new car, too. Want to buy my rental property?
Here, well, the Uniflow ties to the other side of that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But this is going lean. I'm wondering if it's not laying in there enough.
I don't know. These tanks, they seem mysterious to me.
I had square one works fine. This one was running.
See, on mine, with Rich's tank, I can't shim it any closer to the mounts. And it still needs to be shimmed, so I don't know what the next step should be. I'm going to have to call him.
But he likes these bottle tanks. I
made this bracket out of a half a tube, semicircled.
Dave Cook had good luck. Midgley had a good one that ran well.
I use that aluminum weld on here. Though.
Yeah.
I got from you. I just welded it right up. And
we're trying to add to our database of plastic tanks, but so far the jury is out. The jury is at Duke University.
I don't know whether it's hanging. I don't think it's hanging up in there because it's moving pretty good. But
well,
they went halfway.
And this plane has a metal tank, and it's running like a traditional, nothing different, nothing strange about the way that tank runs.
That's a 5.5.
Well, I still got Joe Adamusco's tank. The next part of the test is Joe Adamusco's tank, and then the last thing, the carbon tank, and we'll have to make a decision in one way or another. Now, just when you think it's safe, and we got a couple of props to pitch, you think it's safe in my shop. What's this? Ah, he's back! Oh no, he's back! He's back! Hey! Hey! Freddie, you're back! And we're back babysitting Freddie for the next who knows what. Who knows what this bird is up to. Anyway, as long as we got to babysit Freddie and we got to repitch our props, we're really fine-tuning these two blades to where I'm really getting happy with them. We got Doran's prop pretty well dialed in for our conditions. In today's mail from Gary Lutz, his Spitfire is ready to go. And by the way, this check mark here, the question mark, that's a prototypical paint job. Now we have Joe's yellow. Some of Gary's jigs for holding the parts while they were in silver in his workshop. Something we can all relate to, the parts in silver. Looking forward to seeing Gary's Spitfire, and obviously we're going to feature it on our Brodak coverage. Here he's got several pictures as it's being finished and painted. I like the way he did the landing gear, the open doors. I remember during the documentation part of doing my Spitfires, when I came across this, I thought, hey, that'd be pretty cool. But Gary obviously picked up on it. And there's no doubt in my mind, Spitfires are a nice choice. Now, he doesn't say who this is. It looks like Chip Smith to me, and it looks like another Spitfire. I'm not sure if it's the same Spitfire. With the colors look different. I'm not sure. He's got the same markings. Gary, we need captions. Maybe it's the same one. It just doesn't, the colors in this picture don't come out the same. So here's Gary, and he's probably laughing, saying, I faked Dirtnowski out. Ah, ha, ha. Here he is watching birds instead of flying. He'll never amount to anything. Some really nice pictures, Gary. Really appreciate them. Now, there's one final thing here I got to show you. As always, we're always sharing these little intimate details of our life. Here's something really special. Now look at this real close, and you'll notice this is the prop that I used. It's the prop off my Spitfire that I used on, and I'm trying to remember what year we flew that at the Nats. And it's a 4-blade, and it was pitched for a Tiger 60. Now another thing, if you see this little garden back here, Karen and I just did a very similar thing. We haven't planted the flowers yet, where Chicky is buried.
where that little fountain is, and we're actually gonna work on it this afternoon. We're gonna go to Home Depot and get some potting soil and stuff. So little intimate details of our life. Anyway, Gary, thanks for the pictures. We will be passing them on, of course. And we got to get the rest of our props pitched up and get ready to do some gardening this afternoon. Karen is in the gardening mode. And I guess it's a good day to do it because we want to get this all done before we leave for Texas. And that day is going to sneak up on us quicker than you can imagine. Now, the two props that I'm working on here, and I've got all the ones that I'm actually using marked Testarossa. One I need just a tiny bit less pitch, and one I need what I'll call less pitch. But because we have the gauge, I'm hoping we're going to, every day these get closer and closer and closer for our setup. And ours is just a little different than Rich Oliver's. And I'm glad we got the 3 blades working as well as they are. Now we need to get the 2 blades working. Well, this is what I have to do for 8 hours a day. Hey! And all of a sudden, the latest thing is he eats walnuts. All he's eaten is walnuts lately. Hey! You're not that entertaining. And the thing I like having him here is he really is entertaining. Whenever Rich Jacobone comes over, he immediately bites him. Now, believe it or not, we didn't plan it this way, but it looks like we have something very similar to what was in Gary Lutz's picture, and we made this little. We already went out and bought potting soil and topsoil and quiet bird. Bought all this stuff to kind of make a little place for Chicky. This is where Chicky is buried, of course. And we're going to plant some yellow flowers. Try to make it a little special spot. The kids are going to be over later, and they're going to torture you. See? Nancy let his wings grow, so we can't let him out of the cage now. That's the problem. It used to be that we could take him out and just, it wasn't a problem, but now he's a bird with wings. And when Karen gets, as soon as Karen gets back, we're gonna dress this all up. So Karen the gardener did our planting for us. Everything's watered in. And we hope it's going to be a nice day for some flights tomorrow. Nice job, baby. I'm impressed. I just thought I'd put this little picture up here. This is from our friend in Israel, Omri. I'm not sure I'm saying his last name correctly. We'll try to get that right. I'll see how the accent is. He's from Israel. He sent us a lot of cool stuff in the past, and he just sent us a couple of discs with pictures that I'm going to forward up to Larry Cunningham. He sent the pictures so we could see what he looks like. Nice looking young man. No tattoos, no earrings. Our kind of guy. Okay, now I'm only going to be able to put the pictures on here. We've put other pictures on here, but these are the ones that have captions. Super Tiger 60, homemade muffler by Eliza Rosenbaum, and he's been to our house in the past. Nice looking homemade muffler and a Tiger 60. Again from Israel, and all these pictures are from Israel. Amit Shani and the KA-10. Now, excuse me if I'm not getting the pronunciation of the names exactly right. Karen would probably be better off at it than I am, but we'd like to include these pictures, and we hope Larry can use some of them in his upcoming Control Line magazine. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of people interested in Control Line around the world, and they're just looking for a little bit of help. And as I say that, the next picture is Amit Shani helping one of the juniors. This is a close-up showing one of the modelers whose name is R-O-N-E-N, Ronin's opening for the horns. Obviously looks like an access hatch or panel that comes off right on top. Now this is some video that he sent. I don't know, my computer doesn't play this video very well. It's a little video link. Very cool, little video link from Israel. This is Ronan Eisenberg's model. And again, I'm going to be sending Omri some DVDs very soon, and in fact, I'm sending him out a little order, a little supplies that he needs, and I'll probably even include a copy of this tape. But the captions, I'm going to go through the pictures, some of them that don't have captions, both the ones, we've got them on a previous disc. These are the ones from the second disc. There's 2 discs, and these don't actually have captions as such. They have small notations of who's in the picture, but not captions as we normally know them, describing a model and a weight and a prop and fuel tank and whatever. So, but we really do like opening up this communication link with Israel. Now this is Ronan Eisenberg's model, powered by a Tiger 60. Notice how the muffler goes down off into the exhaust tube out toward the middle of the fuselage. That's kind of nice. Nice paintwork. Look at the paint on this. Checkerboards and things. Very cool. Looks like he even has a carbon fiber gear. Now keep in mind, this is a little computer link that Omri sent. This is pretty cool. This is actually the first time I've ever done this on my computer, is played a little video link. Well, Omri, we're going to send you some videos with your some DVDs. Please share them with all these guys, and I hope we can help you out. And I think you're going to take a nice role in helping other people very soon. Not sure how these little video links work. Some of them are kind of, maybe it's my machine, I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Omri, see, you're a young guy. You probably know all about these video links. All this shows me is that you've taken a bit. That's probably a very short one. Actually, it looks pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just going to play these little video links. There's quite a few of them on this disc. I guess you have to figure it out for yourself. Just interesting to see that they've got this technology. I wish they had a like to make windy DVD videos where it was one continuous program. Well, anyway, we'll take what we can get. I'm just going to go through some of these little video links. Some of them are cute. You can see in the background some of the buildings, and they got satellite dishes, and you know, obviously the cars in the background. They got a nice little flying field going on here. And I'm learning how to download these things on my computer, so pretty neat. Omri, we really want to thank you for this. I've spent basically a couple hours fooling around with this stuff already. And this is another one, and I'm not sure. I wish we had a way of copying this. I'm sure if you have a way of copying off a computer, Elliot could probably do this, but... Hey, who's that in the background that just said Lindsay Artanowski's a fat guy? Who said that? I guess there's some technology to putting all these little things in video clips, but anyway, this is pretty nice. So obviously they have a video camera here, so I don't understand why you can't just make a DVD. Maybe the camera that they use can't, you know what it is? It probably can't be converted into American format. I don't know, I'm going to have to talk to Omri about this. But we'll be passing this stuff on to, you know, the magazine and see if maybe he has technology to use it too. Just one of the photos that came on this diskette, among other things. Now Karen's a lot better at going through these little diskettes and things than I am. Now it looks like in this picture he has the bubble wrap covers for the wings. Something a lot of Americans do too. Detailed shot of some of the ink. Anyway, I remember seeing a lot of these Russian designed models, Ukrainian designed models with a very big canopy. Rather tall landing gear. It's a common European style technique. And they obviously have some new guys, some guys flying profiles and some young guys. Hey, Omri, I want to tell you, thank you very much for sending this. I am definitely going to send you some nice DVDs and videos. And please share them with all the guys there. I hope you can play my stuff, and I hope you don't have to play it on a computer or something, but of course we'll find that out. And I will be corresponding in the near future. Thanks so much. Well, they're predicting another nice day. Lucky us. And supposedly, the gang that couldn't shoot straight should be down the field already. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it. This sure was disappointing. This turned out to be a very, very crappy day weather-wise. Nobody even showed up. All I did was some prop testing. I'm going to go home, do some maintenance on the plane. I want to pull it apart, see that everything is nice and tight, clean it all up, and hope tomorrow's a better day. It's a good day to be a goose, not a plane. Anyway, it's no wonder nobody showed up. What a crappy day. And we get them from time to time here, and today is certainly one of them. Back to the shop. Now, believe me when I tell you, this is not even funny. Believe me, I wish today would have been a better day. I'm really dying to do some more testing on this. There's only one problem is, at this early of a stage in trim, I don't like to risk a plane. Today was really unflyable, even by, I don't know, they would have called a contest if there was a contest. So there's no reason to ever risk the plane, but certainly not this early on while we're still doing testing. Now, what I wanted to try to do today, and because we got back early and we have a nice chunk of free time here before the phone starts ringing, hopefully, what I'm going to try to do, I have all my tank options. Now, I've spent 4 days with Rich Oliver's tank. The downside of this tank is, and it runs a different kind of run than I call it a hard 2-4 brake, and I want to keep it exactly as it is. I want to put it in a bag. I'm going to be bringing that to Texas so we can swap them out over there if there's any reason to do that. But one of the things is now I have Joe Adamusco's tank and my carbon tank, and because I'm going to pull this, I'm going to do today as a, I call this a teardown day. I want to take all the parts that have screws on them. I want to take the tank out, of course. That'll mean taking the engine and pipe out. Do a complete teardown. Check that all the take-apart screws have seated, and this will be the first time the plane's coming apart since it's been flown. I want to check all of the... See, one of the things I wanted to do when Les and I went back and forth on the design of this plane is we wanted to have choices. I wanted to have 2 blades and 3 blades and 4 blades. I want all the choices. I wanted to have the tank I know that I'm comfortable with and the bigger tank that Richard uses. I wanted to have the engine set up the way Richard sets it up for the hard 2.4 and the setup that I've been comfortable with over the years, the soft 2.4. So having all these choices, it's a lot more work, say, than somebody that just has a Gieske Nobler and a 10.6 prop and a Fox 35. Yeah, you don't have that many choices to deal with. But in this case, what's really happened is I've gotten to the point with it now that it's friendly. I know all the little things it needs to do and don't. I know, for instance, that the vertical CG, which I thought was going to be off, is off. And what I did to correct that right at the field, I put this little tab on the bottom of it just to correct it so I could get through the day of flying. But we do have those adjustable flaps. One of the things I'll try to do is get working on that. I don't like to do it at the field because what has to happen, I have to get in through that screw hole. I don't want to chip the paint. I have to put tape on the side of the fuselage and mark exactly where they are, then move whichever one up or down. This one's going to go down just a hair. But most of all, before I can really go any further, I've got to make a decision on getting Joe's tank and the carbon tank some testing time. Again, the carbon fiber tanks are the devil I know, and in this case we're not even doing it for nose weight. This plane is plenty light. What we're doing it for is we just want the run characteristics. The clunk tanks have a certain characteristic that seems to work real well with, well, a hard 2.4 brake where it's not really braking in the way that I'm comfortable with. The traditional tanks that we've used,
they seem to be the ones that, and even the ones Joe's used, that have more like the classic stunt run 2.4 brake. And with this much horsepower and this light of a plane, I really would like to take advantage of that if I can. But in the meantime, I want to take this tank out, drain all the fuel, mark the vents, leave the tubes attached, have that as, that's an option now, and set up the new tank. I'm in the middle of making a couple more tanks. I want to have some spares, making some tanks for customers. That's over on the other workbench. Made up a couple of spare pipe shells. I'm going to lay out a spare pipe or two. One of the nicest things that I didn't know if it was going to work or not on this, or I didn't know if I was going to be happy with it, was the twin exhaust. The twin exhausts have been one of the nicest parts of the plane. Everybody seems to agree that that's worked out well. So, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to have a pipe. I also want to make a pipe with a traditional downspout. A lot of stuff to do, and typically the first time I take a plane apart, I want to see which screws have set in, which ones haven't. Usually once you tighten them 2 or 3 or 4 times, they take a set, the wood takes a set, and then you pretty much hopefully don't have to be too worried about it. But in the beginning, when they're new like this, you want to see which ones are loose, which ones are tight, and a lot of times they're all tight. Now whenever I'm taking something apart, the two things, looking for little spots where it may be dripping oil, something may be leaking, or in this case, making sure I have knurls on all the prop shafts. In fact, I don't even have the wrench here. Now the way this worked out was, to get this top piece off, the first thing I have to do is remove the air filter. And that worked out. That was a nice thing, because what happens is all around the perimeter here, instead of rubbing on something hard, it's kind of rubber cushioned, it's kind of rubber set. So that was one of the things that worked out real well. Another thing that, while I got the spinner apart, now I ran into a problem already. One of the things that I knew might happen, but I just happened to notice it right now. The way I mount this in the rack in the van, the cloth was rubbing on a spinner and scratching the spinner and scratching the paint on the wing. So I have to go put some cushioning, some paper towels or something out there where it's the edge of the tape that was, the duct tape that was rubbing on this, and it put a little scratch in the spinner. Not a big deal. We just used that Mother's, whatever it is, aluminum polish or Gorham's. But looking for little leaks, looking. Now I always try to, if it's at all possible, keep accurate track of the knurls on these props, especially the carbon fiber ones, because what will happen is, in time, the edges of these washers get smooth and they get oily, and then the props start to have a tendency to slip. In fact, we can take this right out in one swoop of the pen here. And every time I have this apart, let me just get it apart here. As it unthreads itself. I guess that's as tight a fit as you can have. But the thing is, these little edges always need to be re-knurled. It's uncanny how in time they get smooth. And that's one of the secrets to not having a prop fly off and take your head off or take an eye out or something. Now the last day we were out, we really had good luck with Doran's 3-blade. We were really happy with that. That was really working out well. Now the other part, where it keys onto the motor, I like to take a little M600 whenever I have this part apart. See, what happens is, most people don't do any maintenance. Well, they do very little maintenance, or not enough, I guess you could define it that way. And here's what happens is, now, we have a crappy day today. You can't really fly, and it was dangerous to even be out there. So what happens is, now a lot of people will come home and they'll just look at the plane or wax it when they should be taking it apart and doing maintenance. If you've ever been involved in anything racing, motorcycles, cars, anything, you know, whenever you're not racing, you're doing preventive maintenance. Now once I have all these screws loosened up, and I have to be real careful, the ones in the back are the short ones. And the way this snaps off in the front, this whole piece comes off just like a funny car. Now what I'm doing, I'm starting at the front looking for any spots of oil on the header. That looks like we got that sealed up real nice, even though once I have it out, I'll just reset the bolts. Just make sure that the head isn't leaking at all, glow plug isn't leaking. Maybe the glow plug is leaking a tiny bit, doesn't really matter. That's not one of our major things. It's not leaking all back on the header. Pipe looks like it's sealed up real nice, just in terms of keeping the plane dry. And since this whole plane is hollow out at the back, it's important that we don't have a leak right here and fill that whole body up with oil. So far, I would always cap these off while I'm working on it, especially while I'm taking the tank out, because you can see there's still a couple of drops of fuel, and they tend to work their way down onto the top block and then make a mess for you. So that part of it's pretty successful. Our landing gear are nice and tight. I'll check the wheel collars are tight. Go over any of the screws. Anything that could loosen up in time, this is a good time to check it. And then I'll pull the motor and pipe out as one whole unit, and I want to replace the tank, and I want to bag this tank up. This one is, I wouldn't say in the bank, because it's still a little out of shim, but it's close enough that we could use it in a pinch, and this will become one of our spare tanks. Or if we want to change the way we run the motor to more like Richard's system, this will certainly be one of the things we want to do. We want to have that in a plastic bag. And when I'm not using tanks, they're always in a plastic bag. They're flushed and then in a sandwich bag sealed, so dirt, dust, schmutz, and in this shop there's always dust around. And we'll be making up a spare, and I'll be making up even one extra, so I'll wind up with at least 3 or 4 tanks that all fit in the plane, and I need to make them as long as possible. Again, these can be a restriction. I can only really get about a little over 7 ounces in there. But so far, I think we're going to be able to get away with 7 ounces. I also found the easiest way to clean the strakes is just with Q-tips and wax. That was getting to be annoying. You couldn't get in there with paper towels. So let me pull the whole powertrain out here, and then we'll be ready to swap the tank out. Now I also take a piece of paper and make a list of all the things. Now I know I have, because I'll forget some of these. I know I need to pad that rack in the van. Now any other thing I need to tighten or check or whatever, now is the time to make a list and not just leave it to your memory, especially when you're 60 years old. And this is something that's worked. It worked for me in motorcycle racing. It worked for me in other things in life, is to have lists. See, I have lists there. I have lists over by my phone. As I do things, I cross them off. And it just allows me to be a little more efficient than maybe I would be if I just left it to my memory, because I know the reality. Everybody 60 years old, you start to forget things. Now after looking at this, I snugged up the bolts. They weren't even loose, but anyway, I always look for any little leaks, any little oil around there. Oil around the glow plug washer, oil around the front bearing. This one's dry as can be. Always a little bit inside the venturi where the filter is. So now with about, I'm just thinking that 1.5 gallons fuel through here, this should start to really come alive in the next gallon or so. Now I look down in here, and I mean, it's just as dry as a bone. There is nothing in here. This is nothing. And I can see right here it was rubbing on the back of the motor, so if I use this tank again, I'll want to just eliminate that possibility. Okay, well, I'm just going to take that tank out now, fit in the next tank to test. We still have Joe's tank and a carbon tank. Okay, so here's the tank, the tubes that already cut, so this can be dropped right back in. The shim, and marked which side faces the mount. So this is ready. This will be ready to be put this in a plastic bag. This will be part of our test system when we go to Texas. And that's the way it'll be stored in the truck. Everything ready to just install, drop in, shim, everything. Now I just snugged up all, even the bolts that are in the tank box. Everything just seems to be seating as it normally should. I don't think there's going to be a problem. Hopefully that'll, if it doesn't seat in soon, it seats in eventually, that's for sure. Any wood, it compresses to a point and it pretty much stays there for a while.
The next thing we're going to do is fit up Joe's tank. I already have the shim glued onto the tank. We've had it, I know it's going to fit. I just have to make the upper shim. I'll make that with that closed cell foam that I have, and we're ready to put this together. Now the reason for doing this is I had Richard's tank, and I was hoping to get all three of these tested and then make a decision which one I want. If the plane in it, we don't know yet if it's going to ultimately trim out with nose weight or tail weight or no weight at all. Well, if we needed to add a little nose weight, certainly a little heavier tank isn't going to make any big difference, and I'd always rather have the weight somewhere other than spinning around on a crankshaft if possible. But again, that's all part of, hopefully when we get 8-10 gallons of fuel through this, we'll know what the tendencies are, and we'll be able to set the flaps, get rid of the little trim tab that allows us to compensate for, and I wasn't sure if these were the wheels I was going to use. They really can't do this until we make the wheel pants. I can't really get the flap set. The final setting on is going to be determined by once we finish the wheel pants. Not sure when Les is going to have time to work on it, but in the meantime, having that little tab out there is really handy. I can adjust it if I want to use bigger or smaller wheels. As an example, I might want to use one size bigger wheels at Brodax because it's grass, or at our club field, which is in pretty lumpy condition. But on our smooth surfaces, these have really worked out nice. Anyway, the whole idea behind this plane right from the get-go was to have a lot of choices in how we're going to set it up, how we're going to run a motor, and how we're going to trim it. And so far, this is all the possibilities that we were looking forward to in the beginning. It looks like we're going to have them as we get into flying and trimming the plane. Now, it's always an issue on a take-apart plane. When you put the tank in, here's what happens. Where's my pen? You always have to deal with the head of the bolt that's sticking up here. And I'm just going to put a little bit of marker ink on that for now. What I want to see is what the interference is going to be. And I always want the front of the tank, I want the back of the rear of the tank facing as far to the outside as I can, so that usually means it's only going to interfere with one bolt. Now you can see right there what this does. It lets me know where my interference is. Right there is where it's hitting the bolt. So what I'm going to do is glue on a little piece of soft, maybe plywood or something up in that corner. It's going to be right in this corner. Maybe a piece of 64th plywood. We'll just keep that from rubbing. Actually, a piece of... I'm trying to think what would be appropriate here. Yeah, wood would probably be fine. But I just don't want the bolt wearing a hole in that corner of the tank as time goes by. And supposing this is the tank we ultimately want to use, and it trims the plane out with this amount of nose weight, well, I don't want to have that it wears a hole in it. And you know when it'll wear a hole in it, right in the middle of some important flying contest or whatever. Yeah, a little piece of 60-foot plywood would probably be just perfect for that. And now I want to make sure I'm going to shim the tank so that outside, and I'll put the shim right in here, so that the back of the tank is cocked to the outside of the circle before I put the top shim in and lock it in place. Now, what I'm using to make shims with is little scrap pieces of Roacell foam. And again, I gotta carefully, I want to get this to be a tight fit, but I don't want to put any I don't want to bulge the body out or whatever. And if you have any scraps of Roacell foam, if you don't, balsa wood is probably just as good, but the Roacell foam doesn't absorb any oil either. If you leave a tank in for a very long time, you don't wind up making a little sponge out of it. Okay, there we go. And that keeps that cocked to the outside. Now I need to put the same thing up in the front, making sure that I don't have that the front goes out too. Now another thing I always do, anytime I change a tank, move a tank or whatever, I put new tubing on. New tubing is the cheapest investment in the world. You're not going to have lean runs. Also, when I take that tank out, I'll leave the tubes that fit onto the pipes, the various intake and overflow. So when I go to, if I want to plug that tank in, I already have the tubes in place. You remember that alignment little thing we had. Of course, we do have the ability to put slight changes in this motor offset. Okay, that's a very handy little tool to maintain that we're not changing offset every time we put the motor in. Okay, we're all back in action here, and we're ready. Now the only thing waiting for is some weather. Next couple of days is supposed to be a storm coming through here. I didn't realize this morning even. Big storm coming through. We'll see. But we're all set to test Joe's tank. Do some more testing on the 3-bladed props, among other things. It's funny, no matter what I do at the end of the day, when I'm looking at this from a lot of different angles, I really have to compliment Les and John Cafaro for what I think is a pretty exciting design. Now, because we basically have another unflyable day, I thought one of the little maintenance items I wanted to work on. When I designed up the plane, Les designed it up, we allowed for the fact that we would have a much longer tail wheel wire than we wanted for two reasons. We didn't know what the prop diameters, and I didn't know what the takeoff and landing angle was going to be. But what I've done is I've adjusted this bend several times right at the field, and I've got what I think is a pretty good angle. But the wire here is way longer than I need to have, and what happens, and then it gets spongy. So now that I know this, what I'm going to do is put this on a flat table or on the ground, measure from the tail down. I can measure any spot really. Cut this wire, shorten it, and then readjust it back to this angle. I just want to get rid of that sponginess. That's one of the things while I have a day to work on little detail things like this. And we still need, what I really need is a whole day of testing on I did the little flap tweak with the little adjustable flap horn, but I don't know if it's neutral. And I still have to go back and see if Joe's tank needs a shim up, down, or if it's going to be good right where we have it. A good day to do a little maintenance. This bird is going to make me crazy. Quiet! You want to go to live in Sweden? See, I got 2 more days with this guy. 2 more days! And then it's back. Look at this guy. Enough! Jackabone's gonna come over and bite you. Oh boy, is he a nuisance. You're supposed to love me and add entertainment value to my life. Instead he goes to bite me. I pet him. Watch him bite me now. He lets me do this about 1 minute and then he... Hey! Hey! There's no biting Windy. There's no biting Windy. What's that for? Yeah, go work on a Testarossa. Come on. Tomorrow's going to be a flyable day. Yeah, sure. And this morning it looked like when I left the house it was going to be a reasonable day, but it's very quickly deteriorating. The problem is the next 2 days are supposed to be nice, so I don't want to get too cute here. Now what I did, the last time I was in the shop and had a shop session, I used my adjustable horn to adjust the flaps, and guess what? I went too far, so now I got to put the tab on the other side of the wing. But having those adjustable flaps, very handy, but the problem is you really can't do it at the field as conveniently as you think. So what I'm going to try to do is make some kind of a gauge up. Les is supposed to come over this afternoon, and we'll zero them in. I don't want to do it at the field. It's just not that important. I can use, and here's a good tip, you can use a tab like this. I just scotch tape it on. When you go to take it off, just heat it with a hairdryer, a la John Brodak. Get that off until you get the wing perfectly level. I mean, we're looking at a very little bit. But before, see, the other part is I can't get the tank. This is Joe's tank in here now. I can't get Joe's tank totally shimmed. It looks like it needs to be about a 1/16 off the mounts. It's a little leaner inverted than it is upright. And I wanted to start the day off in what amounts to be the softer air with Doran's prop, and at the end of the day wind up with Richard's prop when it gets, well, what we call unflyable, not unflyable, but just gets nasty. But anyway, it'll look like we can get one more day. Then we're going to go back to the shop. If Les shows up, maybe it'd just be easier if we made some kind of a gauge here. Because I really went about a 1/16 of an inch, and that was way too far. I had the tab on the bottom, now I got it on the top. So it's kind of a critical adjustment, and I need to do it with some kind of a gauge, maybe make some kind of a tab or something. See, luckily I can line it up with these little strakes, which the center strake is our center line, but still, I think it has to be a little more accurate than that to be exactly how I'd like it to be anyway. But anyway, we got a couple of flights already on Joe's tank. It just needs to be shimmed, predictably about a 1/16 off the mounts, and that's about par for the course. In the good air, Doran's prop is as good as it gets. And in the wind, we're hoping, I've been playing with the pitch on Rich's 2-blade, and we'll get that a little more fine-tuned before we get back to the shop. I'll put the other camera up, but because of where the sun is, it's difficult. See, when the sun is right where you're flying, unless the wind changes, what happens is the sun distorts everything except the motor run. I guess you can hear and see the motor run, but that's about it. The other thing, the shorter tail wheel really worked good. It comes out of the stooge a lot smoother now, which is what I wanted. The landings are pretty much just the way I'd want them. Now the other trick is when you're doing little things like this. This is really a trick I don't think you're going to read in a magazine. When you're looking to get the wing perfectly level, and I don't mean just a little bit level, I don't mean, oh yeah, your friend looks at it from 1,000 feet away before he's had his coffee, yeah, it's good enough, flight of pattern. When you're looking to fine tune it, the trick is take some of the tip weight out. In other words, in here we're using about 2 ounces of tip weight. When I get this to where I think it's level, I'll take a 1/4 ounce out at a time. And so what it does, it unmasks if it's even a little bit off somewhere in the pattern. Then I can conveniently put it back. But it just allows me to get it more fine-tuned. Now with 2 ounces of tip weight in there, it kind of masks over any little vertical CG problem or anything. And in this plane, I think it's basically just the vertical CG that's so far off. The next time we build this plane, or if we build another one or Les builds one, we'll move the wing just 1/8 of an inch, and that'll cure that problem. But anyway, that's a really excellent trick, is take almost all the tip weight out, and you'll see which way that wing is wrong. Because the tip weight always masks over the fact that your vertical CG and other things or the flap tweak is not exactly right. Then we have one last thing to try, and I always save this for maybe 100 flights in, couple of gallons. I have the little slop bushing in the tail. Even though this plane seems to fly level just about as good as anything I've ever had, when I take that slop bushing out, it always seems to get just a little bit better. Again, we're going to find that out, we're going to see. But today's a good day. The wind is already starting to kick up, so let me get a couple more flights, put a couple more flights on the 2-blade, and we'll see what we have. From this point on, we're going to put Richard's props on the plane and see what we can. The air is getting worse by the minute here. Okay, so one of today's projects, Les is working on bending a wire. that are ultimately going to be part of the wheel pants, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah. Actually, what happened was, you know, we're going to have to get a washer on here or some kind of a collar to see just how close to this we can go. If that's the case, I'm a little.
Well, you're going to
too
have
far
to,
over
once
with
you get
the
the
leg.
wire in here, you can shim it out, even with brass washers.
Yeah, but see, what I don't want to do, because the wheel, we don't want the wheel face recessed too much more in here. Okay, so that makes this thing, the center, a little. How can I say this the best way? If you're making a symmetrical wheel pant, you come out, you bury the wire, you come down here,
Right.
and it's roundish or whatever.
Right.
Here we want the outer face. I got to think right about there. We can't go any more than that. So now from the center line to the wire, there's the center line of the wheel, to the wire is 5/8 plus maybe 11/16. But the wire is way off center
I see what you're saying.
for the
yeah.
wheel.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
next time we do, we'll cut this off, make another experimental set. We'll start the recurve, the reflex curve.
See,
Right
I don't want to
Right
discourage
about
you or
there.
anything, but I bought a whole tube of wire from Brodak because I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. Right.
I knew two pieces weren't going to do it. I bought a whole tube of it.
Well, no, but we're getting an idea here.
Yeah. There's a lot of give and take until you get this shimmed
Right.
out the way you want it. That's
Exactly
for sure.
right.
That's a given. So what you need to do, Saturday, bring the vet and we'll take some pictures with the Testarossa. I think that'll be cool.
Well, what would really be cool is to get a red Testarossa.
Well, Carlos's friend, maybe this weekend. I don't know, next weekend. But the vet'll do until we get a Testarossa.
All right.
It's funny, we got a vet and with that'll do until something.
Yeah, but the red on my Corvette is going to put the red on your Testarossa to shame.
Now listen, we can go in Englewood to the Ferrari dealer. You think they'd buy into this? Like we could go there? You don't think so, huh?
Oh no, that's the factory office. That's their U.S.
But I mean,
headquarters.
would they
That's
loan
not
us?
a dealership.
Oh, but even with the sign, they got a sign out front,
Just
right?
Ferrari, but try and get in there.
Yeah, right. How about that Lambo place down in on 17? We could go there. You
what?
think they'd like? There's always a Ferrari trailer by that Lamborghini dealer. We get some pictures in front of the Ferrari trailer. Anyway, something to think about.
Pants on this sucker.
Let's get these wheel pants cruising. Now here's one of the first little accidents to befall our lovely Testarossa. Now, and this is something maybe you can pick up from. Well, I was trying to adjust that adjustable horn and not really paying attention to how I was holding the flap. And what happened is I split the inner flap. It broke that little horn post, which of course means you got to repaint it. Not the most convenient thing, not a big deal of course. But also what had happened is where I had put the trim tab out here on the wing, because we're done with the trim, hopefully done with the trim tab now. And we had the flaps almost where we wanted them, but we're still going to have to spend some time getting it level, fine-tuning it. Where the trim tab was, the tape that I was using, even though I heated it, I didn't heat it enough, and it pulled up a little bit of the paint. So, time for a little touch-up. One of the nice things about Brodak dope is that you can touch it up. Now, the problem is if we had this same problem up where the two-part is on the nose, I'm not sure you could repair it. And I'm not sure, in the past when I've tried to repair Imron, it's a lot more difficult than repairing any lacquer or dope. So here we've kind of ducked the bullet by having a dope finish or not having the whole plane in that two-part, although that's one of the possibilities for the future. And I'm going to be talking to Bob Brookins in the next couple of days and find out if we ever have to repair the front of this, is it going to be a problem or not? Again, I'm not sure. Anyway, the plan is the next couple of days, supposed to be nice. The wisteria's blooming. Oh, wisteria's already blooming away on top of there. Look at those beautiful purple flowers. All the crap's falling in the pond from the trees. There's only one thing left to do here. Wait for the paint to dry. Les is going to try to meet me at the field in the morning Karen added some, our neighbor Carol, who you probably have seen on the video once or twice, added some, she found in a gardening store some flowers the color of chickpea, these pansies, so I think it's time, realistically, this would be a prime time to have a cup of coffee, let the paint dry, and get everything ready for tomorrow. What's the most fun? When Freddie comes to visit, and what's the next thing? When Freddie goes home with Mommy! And what time is it now? It's time to go home. Babysitting over. I earned every penny of this babysitting money, I'll have you know. Every penny, every nickel, every dime. This morning, because the plane sat in the van overnight, with all that dope drying, smells like we're in an auto body shop here. Anyway, it looks like it's going to be a nice day, and we still need to really get finalize this wing leveling, and Les is going to try to stop by for giving me some help with the final trim out of the plane, and we're waiting for some more props to come from Rich Oliver, so a lot of stuff going on. Well, when you get to this field early in the morning and you're the only one here, oh, it is a really unique feeling. It is a special time of year. Now that paint pretty much asphyxiated me on the way out to the field. But what we're going to do today, Les is hopefully going to show up. We have a new motor for Richard's new Stuka. We may get a chance to break that or work on that in the next couple of days. But we're going to try to record some flights, but when the sun is not bright like this, we don't have a bright background, you almost don't see the plane as it goes into the trees. Now we'll see what we get. Oh, and there's our friend the Blackbird checking us out. And of course giving us some some combat experience here. The birds are all over the place here. You can hear them in the background sometimes. It's their mating time. And we enjoy watching them, except for the time, of course, that you're doing your wing over. Anyway, let's see how this day plays out. This is one of the parts of a new plane that I enjoy. The trimming, fine tuning, testing props, trimming tanks, and always trying to up the bar a little bit. Well, this is going to be an interesting day because I put the camera up on the other side of the field and the air is kind of stone dead. And what happens, you can't see real well. You can see the plane only above the tree line, so until the sun comes out, we're not going to be able to get any footage. And I was hoping that wasn't the case today, but we'll take it. Beggars can't be choosers. Now, we've got enough flights on Joe's tank to know hopefully where the shim is. We still need about a 1/16 between the mounts and the tank, and then we can put this aside, put the carbon tank in. We want to have all three options when we get ourselves down to Texas. Now, the first flight that I had this morning, I noticed, even though the wing is almost level, it's still up just a little bit, and I mean a little bit. And I'm just going to fly through the day with it because I don't want to take a chance on injuring that repair. The paint is still soft. I'd rather just fly it out, especially if the air is dead. And the other thing is, I can hear it. You probably can hear it in the background. The ducks or whatever, the geese, they are absolutely in mating mode. They must think this is Las Vegas. What comes here stays here. They're going to watch for these birds before you take off. Anyway, but later today, I hope that sun's going to get brighter, that we can see the plane better too. Well, as you can imagine, the sun is finally coming up. We got 6 flights and the sun has come out.
So maybe we'll be able to see the plane now, and we'll set up the other camera, but you know, there's a nice thing when you get here early in the morning. It is so quiet, you can hear all the little noises, muskrats and stuff. It's really something special. It's like when you, when there's something around you for your whole life, and all of a sudden you realize it's pretty cool. Anyway, from looking at the smoke coming out of the power plant, in fact, here comes the sun, it's going to get warm. They said it may get warmer today. This will give us a nice wide range of testing to do. We know we still have to put a little tweak in that flap. We're definitely going to do that down at the shop. Do not want to break another flap if I can help it. We still have to shim the tank. Again, I make my little notepad, make some notes. I'd like to have less look at the wing, even though I can tell, even from flying. And one of the ways you can tell is in the overhead 8, you can really see it. Any of the maneuvers where you can look straight down the wing. Pretty scary. In fact, in one of the triangles I was doing, it just went, kind of took off on me, but dead air is dead air. And it's still better than no air at all. One thing I've learned is don't flood this thing out. Smack my hand. Hey, finally the sun is coming out. Oh, come on, and it's getting warm. Time to take the flannel shirts off. It's just like being in Houston here. Not exactly. Anyway, it looks like Les had a little nice snooze this morning. He deserves it. I'm tempted. I thought other people were going to be here today. I'm tempted to just fly all day here. This is the air being dead though. There's really not a whole lot we can accomplish here. Almost any prop I have will be fine in dead air. We were hoping to get a little bit of breeze. I'll get some idea. Well, we'll see if put the other camera up again and see if it's going to be light enough. But having these tanks all shimmed and in a box and having lots of choices, like having extra props. Running these 83 to 8400 seems just about right on this one. And the only really mistake I've made is over choking it and having to take my finger off a few times. As you can imagine, that is not the best part of my day. Day worked out. Started out with all kinds of nastiness, and it's turned out to be a beautiful blue fly-in day with just a slight amount of breeze. It was dead air this morning, but boy, it sure is beautiful now. In fact, I think John is still backing up here in maneuvers. Anyway, and as always with our prop testing, we go back to our square one. And it's a